Hey fighters, it's Master Scarsella here, and we are starting off a new video series over the next few weeks, specifically talking about modification to our workouts and movements that we'll see within our class. The first video that I want to talk about today is really more about the mentality when it comes to modification. When we designed our fighter fitness program, we designed it in a way that it can push all levels of fitness, from someone that has never done anything organized in the fitness world to someone that has elite fitness skills, that our program is going to help them progress. And because of that, the movements we chose, how we do the protocols, it's going to be able to push everybody to their next step. Now, with that concept in mind, there are going to be times that we need to learn how to modify things on a personal level. Right? We want to remember that because we're living life, it's never that we're always 100%. Actually, it's much less than that. Very few times I can remember in my life, and I've always been pretty physically active as long as I can remember. I don't remember the last time I was 100%. There's always something going on if I'm pushing myself in my own training. So currently I've got a little thumb issue and a little bit of a hip issue, but that doesn't mean I just need to stop training. It does mean that I need to think about what's going on and see if there's appropriate modification so I can progress and really fight forward in my own personal training. So a couple things that we want to be aware of. When we have an injury, which is different than soreness, and soreness will be another thing we'll talk about. When we have an injury, we want to make sure we're addressing that and not making it worse, right? There's going to be times that you definitely should go see a doctor for okay, you walked off the step or the curb and you hurt your knee or ankle. You want to make sure that it's nothing severe that has to have medical diagnosis, but if it's just something that needs to be rested or compressed or just kind of backed off for a little bit, we want to keep that in mind when we're doing movement. So it is absolutely okay that if you're punching the bag and your left wrist hurts because you had a fall, then just punch with your right hand or punch with your left without hitting the bag. We just want to be conscious of that. And this video series will go through specifics of all that kind of stuff. So one is going to be injury. Number two is what happens when you work so hard in class or you do some type of hike or physical fitness class that you're so sore. Is it okay to go at a lesser percentage? 100%, right? It is, no, sorry, not 100%. It is okay to go 75% or even lighter than that. And you can actually use our workouts more as a recovery, not just a way to push yourself all the time. So definitely remember that you can take your training and really use it as a percentage model and change the difficulty of it just by how hard you're going. You might be taking extra breaths and things like that. Another thing that we want to remember is we want to modify move our workouts for sickness, right? When you are sick or feeling under the weather or allergies, one, if it's something that's contagious, please stay home, rest. If it is just something that you can work through, just keep that in mind and don't push yourself as hard as you can, right? Studies do show that having some physical exercise and physical movement during times that you're a little under the weather is going to boost your immunity and things like that. But you don't want to go so hard that then that's where your resources of your body goes, because then it doesn't fight the infection or whatever sickness we're dealing with at that moment. Another one that we want to think about is that in a physical sense, we might be injured, that we have to modify that. We might be sore, we might be sick. We also want to remember that on an emotional and mental sense, we do have things going on in our lives, right? Working with as many people as we do, I hear that, okay, people have deaths in the family or situations with their kids or school or spouse, all this kind of stuff, that we want to use our fighter fitness program as a way for you to have an outlet and as a stress release, but don't go so hard that it is not going to be beneficial after the class. You want to make sure that at times of high stress on an emotional and mental level, it's okay to go a little lighter on the physical level. And then really the last thing we want to think about is modification. Is most of the time when we think about modification, we think about how do I not do something, or how do I do something so it doesn't hurt me, or how do I do something until I can have the strength or range of motion or mobility to do something. But there's actually the other side of modification. What happens if you're doing band motions or push-ups that are actually not challenging you to the point of making progress? We'll have another video series that will be at the end of our modifications of how do you increase intensity throughout our workouts. We're going to have some fun over the next couple weeks, but I really wanted to give you the overview of the concept of what really want to think about when it comes to modifying and when we should modify. Looking forward to seeing you next week.